The Galactic Academy's orientation hall buzzed with nervous energy as hundreds of species gathered for their first day. Bianca sat near the back, her small human frame dwarfed by the towering Valkyrians and crystalline Gent beside her. She clutched her datapad, trying to ignore the curious stares that followed her everywhere. Humans were still new to the galactic stage, barely a decade since first contact. Most species viewed them with a mixture of pity and dismissal. Too fragile, they said. Too emotional. Too breakable. A shadow fell across her desk. Bianca looked up to find a dragon cub standing beside her seat. Its scales shimmered with iridescent purple and gold, and smoke curled from its nostrils. The creature was barely the size of a large dog, but every being in the room had gone silent. Even the Valkyrian warriors who feared nothing had taken an involuntary step back. "This seat taken?" the cub asked, its voice a melodic rumble. No, Bianca stammered, scooting over. The dragon cub settled beside her, its tail curling around the chair's leg. A wave of whispers erupted through the hall. Dragons were myth made real, one of the oldest species in the galaxy, powerful beyond measure, and notoriously selective about their company. They barely tolerated other races, much less sat beside them in academy classes. Professor Zalthorn entered, his 6 insectoid legs clicking against the floor. The hive mind teacher was known for his strict demeanor and encyclopedic knowledge. He began calling roll, his mandibles clicking each name with precision. When he reached the dragon cub, he paused. "Rider of the flame-born clutch." "Present," Rider replied casually. Zalthorn's compound eyes swiveled to Bianca. "Bianca Chen, human." "Here," she said quietly. The professor's antennae twitched, the hive mind equivalent of a double-take. His gaze moved between the human girl and the dragon cub, and something like understanding flickered across his alien features. He nodded slowly, then more emphatically, as if confirming something to himself. But then his antennae went rigid, his mandibles clacked in distress. "Class," he announced, his voice tight. "Proceed with your preliminary assessments." "I must consult the administration." He scuttled out with unusual haste. Bianca glanced at Ryder. "Did I do something wrong?" The dragon cub's golden eyes gleamed with amusement. "No, he's just realized what you are. A human? A human that a dragon chooses to sit beside." Ryder stretched his wings slightly. "Do you know why dragons rarely interact with other species?" Bianca shook her head. "Because most beings are predictable, boring. They think in straight lines, follow their instincts, obey their genetic programming." Ryder's tail tapped thoughtfully. "But humans, you're chaos wrapped in flesh. You're the species that looked at an explosion and thought, I can ride that into space. You're the ones who befriend predators and make them into pets. You see the impossible and call it a challenge." A Valkyrian warrior 2 rows ahead turned around, his battle-scarred face twisted in disbelief. "You can't be serious. Humans are weak. They have no natural weapons, no armor, pitiful lifespans." "They persistence hunt," Ryder interrupted. "They chase prey for days until it collapses from exhaustion. They're endurance predators wrapped in a social species clothing. They form pax bonds so strong they'll die for beings not even their own species." His gaze fixed on the warrior. "Tell me, how many Valkyrians would adopt an infant dragon after its mother died in battle?" "Silence, a human did," Ryder said softly. "Raised me for 3 years before my clutch could retrieve me. Taught me their concept of found family. Showed me what it meant to protect something not because of duty or instinct, but because of choice." Bianca's eyes widened. That's why I choose to sit beside you. Not because you're human specifically, but because humans understand something most species don't. That strength isn't just about power. It's about resilience, adaptability, the sheer stubborn refusal to quit. Professor Zalthorn returned, accompanied by Dean Morpheus, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix. The dean's voice resonated through the hall. "Attention, students. It has come to our awareness that we have a unique pairing in our midst." The dean's light pulsed. "Dragons are apex beings. They choose companions perhaps once in a millennium. When they do, it is because they have recognized something profound." All eyes turned to Bianca and Ryder. "Humanity has been underestimated since joining the galactic community," Morpheus continued. "But dragons do not make mistakes in judgment. If a dragon sits beside a human, it is because dragons see what others have missed. The Dean's light intensified. 20 cycles ago, the Velcresh Armada invaded human space expecting easy conquest. They outnumbered humanity 1,000 to 1. They had superior technology, superior warriors, superior everything. Except humans don't know when to quit. They turned civilian vessels into bombs. They fought in the ruins of their own cities. They sent messages to their children. We hold the line so you can live. The Armada retreated after losing 70% of their forces. Morpheus gestured toward Bianca. Humans are not weak. They are patient. They are terrifying in their determination. And now the dragons have recognized this. Professor Zalthorn's mandibles clicked nervously. Which means, he added, that we must update our threat assessment of humanity, significantly. Ryder leaned toward Bianca, smoke curling from his grin. He's scared because dragons are never wrong about species potential. If we're interested in humanity, it means we see what you'll become. His voice dropped to a whisper, and apparently that's terrifying. Bianca looked around at the assembled species, warriors, traders, scholars, diplomats, all watching her with new eyes. Not with pity anymore, with caution, with respect, with fear. She smiled slightly and opened her textbook. Guess we should get started on that assessment then. Ryder's laugh was like distant thunder. That's the spirit. Show them what humans do best. What's that? Exceed every expectation. The dragon cub's tail wrapped companionably around her chair. And if anyone gives you trouble, remember, you've got a dragon watching your back now. Professor Zalthorn began the lecture with trembling antennae, and Bianca took notes with steady hands. Around her, the galaxy's finest students adjusted their understanding of humanity. Dragon had chosen to sit beside a human girl, and the teacher had nodded in understanding, then got scared, because in that simple gesture lay a truth the galaxy was only beginning to comprehend. Humanity wasn't just another species joining the cosmic stage. They were a force of nature wrapped in vulnerable flesh. And now they had dragons as allies. The universe, Bianca thought with quiet satisfaction, had no idea what was coming, but it was about to find out. The end.